The NBA season is just a few days away, and before it kicks off, I'm going to be doing my official predictions for the 2026 season. So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking every team in the NBA from number 30 all the way down to number 1 and give my prediction for all of the NBA awards as well. But before we jump into our rankings and predictions, if you enjoy the content, please consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And now, let's jump into it. And to start our rankings and coming in at number 30, I have the Brooklyn Nets, who seem to be fully embracing the rebuild. In the offseason, Brooklyn hit the reset button after trading away Cam Johnson and looked to be going all in on youth. This roster could feature 5 first-round rookies that play significant minutes in Yegor Dimon, Nolan Traore, Drake Powell, Ben Seraph, and Danny Wolf, which is rare territory in the NBA, but they do have some experience around them, as Michael Porter Jr. comes in and remains one of the league's elite shooters. There's Nicholas Claxton, who is a reliable interior defender with strong metrics, and Terrence Mann, who brings two-way versatility. But if we're being honest, the Nets are focused on development, not wins, and they've reacquired their 2026 first-round pick, so every loss helps the long game, as the Nets will be aiming for a top pick in the lottery in the next NBA draft. Next at number 29 is the Utah Jazz, and just like the Nets, this team is intentionally tanking. After trading away Colin Sexton and John Collins, and then waiving Jordan Clarkson, Utah's fully embraced a rebuild as well. Lauri Markkanen is still here for now, and he's fresh off a Eurobasket run where he averaged 23 points and 8 rebounds, proving he's still an all-star level scorer, but it feels almost inevitable that he'll be moved mid-season, and when that happens, the offense will shift to rookies and sophomores like Ace Bailey, Walter Clayton Jr., and Bryce Sensabaugh, and the other pieces of the Jazz's young core are intriguing also, as you got Walker Kessler, who is an elite rim protector, and Taylor Hendricks and Kyle Filipowski that provide promising frontcourt versatility, but the backcourt remains thin and inefficient, with Keontae George and Isaiah Collier struggling to create a consistent offense, but they do have some potential, but the Jazz are lottery bound once again after this season. At number 28, the Washington Wizards are young, raw, and clearly building for the future, and last season was another rough one, finishing near the bottom in both offense and defense in the league, and this year will likely be more of the same. However, Washington has an incredible 9 players still on rookie contracts, including promising young pieces like Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson, and Cam Whitmore, who they traded for in the offseason. And Sarr showed flashes late last season, averaging nearly 16 points per game after the All-Star break, and his interior finishing continues to improve. Johnson will bring scoring versatility, and Whitmore could thrive with more opportunity. And the Wizards also have veterans like Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum to provide leadership in the early part of the season, but they could be gone come the trade deadline, and I expect plenty of opportunities for the Wizards' young core once again, and for them to be positioned for another top pick in the 2026 draft. Coming in at number 27, the Charlotte Hornets finally have a bit of hope, but all hinges on health. Last season, injuries once again derailed LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, limiting the Hornets' young duo to just 20 games played together. But when they did share the floor, Charlotte's offense looked alive and well above their season average. And Miller's growth has been real, averaging 21 points and nearly 4 threes before his wrist surgery, while Ball's creativity and tempo still give this team its identity. Add in rookie Con Knipple to the mix, and he brings size, shooting, and smarts to the wing, and veterans like Miles Bridges, Colin Sexton, and Spencer Dinwiddie all add much needed depth. But the big issue with this roster is its defense, which will remain a major hurdle this season. But if Ball and Miller stay healthy, Charlotte could flirt with playing contention, but more likely than not, expect another trip to the lottery. At number 26, the Phoenix Suns have entered a full reset mode, and it's wild how fast it happened. Just 2 years removed from loading up with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, both stars are now out of Phoenix, as Durant was traded to Houston and Beal was waived and stretched and will cost Phoenix nearly $20 million a year in dead money through 2030. But Devin Booker remains the lone franchise pillar, and it seems like he's about to post massive numbers with the larger workload that he'll have. Add in Jalen Green, who steps in as Booker's new running mate after showing flashes in Houston, while Dylan Brooks and Mark Williams should provide some toughness and rim protection for the squad. The Suns also drafted Kamal Malawach this year, and he could be a long-term gem, but will need to develop, and for now, this roster just lacks the firepower to hang in the loaded West. At number 25, I have the Portland Trailblazers, who look ready to try and move past the rebuild stage and start competing again. Last season, they quietly finished 4th in defensive rating after February, and that identity could carry them this year. The addition of Drew Holiday gives Portland an elite defensive core alongside Donovan Clingan, Tamani Kamara, and Denny Avdia, and Clingan's rim protection already looks special, and Avdia's late season surge, where he averaged nearly 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, turned heads league-wide. But the real question is their offense, and Scoot Henderson's development is key, as he'll help run the offense while Shaedon Sharpe must take the next leap forward as a scorer. But Portland's defense gives them a fighting chance every night, but in the brutal Western Conference, the Blazers still feel like they are one piece away from playoff contention. Coming in at number 24 is the New Orleans Pelicans, who are one of the NBA's biggest wildcards heading into this season. And last year's record doesn't tell the whole story, as this team's ceiling lives and dies with Zion Williamson and his health, as he is averaging just 36 games played per season since entering the league. But if he can stay healthy, the frontcourt pairing of Williamson with Herb Jones and Trey Murphy gives the Pelicans elite defense and some spacing upside, while DeJounte Murray and newly acquired Jordan Poole should add some much needed playmaking. But still, the fit remains clunky, with Kevon Looney starting and rookies like Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen adjusting to the league. But the Pelicans have potential, but until Zion proves he can stay on the floor, they'll hover between playing contention and the bottom of the Western Conference. The Chicago Bulls come in at number 23, and they are running it back with an identity that's fast, fun, but probably a little flawed. The Bulls finished last season 15-5 down the stretch and played some of their best basketball when most teams were shutting it down, and Josh Giddey was electric, averaging 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists over his final 19 games, and he'll be the engine behind Billy Donovan's up-tempo offense once again this year. Kobe White continues to evolve into a dynamic scoring guard alongside Ayo Dosunmu, which should be a fun backcourt to watch with Josh Giddey, and Matas Buzelis looks poised for a breakout campaign with his incredible athleticism that he's shown. Also, the addition of Isaac Okoro boosts the defense for the Bulls, and rookie Noah Essinga's development will be fun to track, but it seems that all roads still lead to something like 39-40 wins again for the Chicago Bulls. At number 22 is the Sacramento Kings, who are stuck in basketball limbo, as they are not bad enough to tank but nowhere near contending. And 2 years removed from a playoff run, Sacramento has oddly resembled the old Chicago Bulls core, with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine joining forces once again in Sacramento. And when they shared the floor in Chicago, the Bulls had a negative plus-minus, and that same awkward fit now lands in Sacramento alongside Domantas Sabonis, who continues to put up monster box scores that don't always translate to wins. And now De'Aaron Fox is gone, and Dennis Schroeder is the new floor general, and Keegan Murray's injury only adds to the uncertainty. But unless Murray takes a major leap forward, this team feels destined for another reset sooner rather than later. And coming in at number 21 is the Boston Celtics, who enter what feels like a rare gap year in their modern era, and last season ended in heartbreak and a torn Achilles for Jason Tatum, forcing Boston to finally reset after years of title contention. And with Tatum possibly sidelined most of the year, the front office offloaded Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and even Al Horford to shed salary and reload for the future. And that leaves just Jaylen Brown and Derek White as the clear focal points, and both are capable of all-star level production, but surrounded by one of the weakest frontcourts in the league, with names like Neemias Queta, Chris Boucher, and Luka Garza, who are fighting for real minutes for the Celtics. And even if Tatum makes an early return, this roster simply lacks depth, and finishing in the lottery with a crack at another potential young star should be the Celtics' best long-term interest plan, but it's hard to do that with championship caliber players like these. The Indiana Pacers come in at number 20 and enter the season facing a clear gap year of their own after an improbable run to the NBA Finals last season. Tyrese Halliburton's torn Achilles in Game 7 against Oklahoma City changed everything, as he was the engine of their high-tempo, low-turnover offense, and Miles Turner's departure to Milwaukee further shifts the roster dynamics, leaving Pascal Siakam as the primary star and offensive focal point for Indiana. And coach Rick Carlisle remains one of the best in the league, and the supporting cast including Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Jarris Walker, and Isaiah Jackson has upside, especially if Nembhard can replicate his playoff shooting efficiency. But still, without Halliburton running the show, the Pacers are unlikely to replicate last season's magic, and I expect development and experimentation over wins this season, with the ceiling of a lower-seeded playoff appearance. The Toronto Raptors come in at number 19 and enter the upcoming season with plenty of talent, but some serious fit concerns. Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley all thrive as secondary creators rather than true offensive engines. And outside of quickly, spacing is a major issue, as Barnes and Ingram love the mid-range, and rookie Colin Murray-Boyles isn't a shooter yet, which means defenses will likely pack the paint and dare Toronto to beat them from deep. But still, there is upside with this team, as Quickly's return from injury gives them a capable floor general, and young players like Grady Dick or Jacoby Walter could help stretch the floor, and if shooting develops, Toronto should hang around playing contention, but until this core proves it actually complements each other well, this roster feels more intriguing than dangerous. And coming in at number 18 is the Philadelphia 76ers, who are one of the biggest wildcards in the NBA as well. On paper, a healthy trio of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey could absolutely compete for the East crown, but that word healthy is doing a lot of heavy lifting with this team. Embiid hasn't looked like his MVP self in nearly 2 years, and George's durability is just as questionable heading into his age 35 season. And there's plenty of intrigue around Philly's youth movement though, as Tyrese Maxey continues to blossom into a true star, while rookie VJ Edgecombe brings defensive energy and highlight real athleticism. Add in Jared McCain and Quentin Grimes, which round out a solid young core, but the lack of frontcourt depth and consistent shooting will be tough to overcome at times. But if Embiid stays healthy, this team is dangerous, but if not, it'll be another year of what ifs. At number 17, I have the Memphis Grizzlies, who seem to be retooling on the fly. Trading away Desmond Bane was a shock, but 4 first-round picks and a pick swap from Phoenix might have been too much to pass up on. And it seems the front office is trying to balance staying competitive now while keeping the door open for a bigger rebuild or even a future trade for another star. Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. still headline this roster, but both enter the season banged up, with Jackson and even rookie Zach Edey recovering from surgeries and Morant nursing an ankle sprain. But veterans like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ty Jerome that come in should help stabilize things for the time being, while young pieces like Cedric Coward, Gigi Jackson, and Vince Williams will get real developmental minutes. And this team's ceiling depends entirely on health, but Memphis should remain scrappy and are quietly set up for a fast rebound. Coming in at number 16 is the Miami Heat, who once again find themselves in familiar territory, as they should be competitive but have one big question entering this season, and that question is how they'll survive the first 2 months of the season without Tyler Hero, as Hero is recovering from offseason foot surgery after averaging over 21 points and 4 assists per game last year. And Hero's absence will put pressure on Bam Adebayo to rediscover his all-star form and on Eric Spoelstra to work his developmental magic once again. And Miami brought in Norman Powell in the offseason, and he and Andrew Wiggins will bring athleticism and scoring to the team, while young guys like Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic will need to step into much larger roles, and sophomore big man Kel'el Ware adds intriguing upside as a stretch 7-footer, and the Heat always find a way to compete, but without Hero, their margin for error is razor thin. The Milwaukee Bucks come in at number 15, and they have one of the most interesting storylines of the offseason, as they waived Damian Lillard to bring in Miles Turner. And it was a shocking move, but it gives Giannis Antetokounmpo a new front court partner who can stretch the floor and protect the rim. And Turner's fit is nice next to Giannis, but beyond that, this roster feels extremely thin. Brook Lopez is now gone, and the supporting cast of Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., and Kyle Kuzma are more suited for bench roles than starting spots in my opinion. And Giannis will still put up MVP caliber numbers, but Milwaukee's depth and secondary playmaking issues are glaring, and Giannis alone should keep them firmly in a playoff spot, but unless one of their young guards breaks out or Kuzma bounces back, the Bucks look stuck in mediocrity. Coming in at number 14 is the San Antonio Spurs, who are finally starting to look like a team ready to turn the corner. Victor Wembanyama enters his 3rd NBA season as a legitimate MVP and Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he's already one of the league's top 5 impact players when healthy. And last year, when Wemby was on the floor, the Spurs played at the level of a 47-50 win team, and now they've added even more help. De'Aaron Fox gives San Antonio the dynamic lead guard they've lacked for years, though his hamstring remains a concern, but rookie Dylan Harper should provide immediate backcourt scoring, while last season's Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle brings defensive toughness and playmaking, and the Spurs also have Devin Vassell and new addition Luke Cornett to help round out a deeper, more complete roster, and if the shooting improves even slightly for this team, this could be our first time seeing Wemby in the playoffs. At number 13 is the Dallas Mavericks, who are officially entering the Cooper Flag era, and that still feels surreal after the shocking Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers last season. But the rookie phenom has generational two-way potential, and he's stepping into a roster built to win right now. Anthony Davis anchors the front court alongside Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, giving Dallas one of the league's biggest and most defensively versatile front lines. but Kyrie Irving's torn ACL means he'll miss most, if not all, of this season, so I expect Flagg and D'Angelo Russell to share playmaking duties, while Klay Thompson and PJ Washington stretch the floor. But if Davis can stay healthy, this team has the defense and structure to surprise some people, and if Flagg flashes his star upside early, Dallas could make a sneaky playoff push. Coming in at number 12 is the Atlanta Hawks, who might have finally cracked the code around Trae Young. After years of play-in frustration, this roster finally has the size, versatility, and balance to make real noise in the East. Jalen Johnson's return is massive, and he was quietly their best player before injuries derailed him last season, averaging nearly 17 points and 9 rebounds over a 30-game stretch. And pair that with the 2024 number 1 overall pick Zachary Risache and breakout guard Dyson Daniels, and suddenly the Hawks have legitimate two-way depth. Also, the Kristaps Porzingis acquisition gives Atlanta that stretch 5 they've always needed, while Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Onyeka Okongwu strengthen a second unit that can actually defend. Now, the health of Johnson and Porzingis will determine their ceiling, but on paper, this is the most complete Hawks team in a while. At number 11, I have the Detroit Pistons, who are one of the league's fastest rising young teams, and they might not be done climbing. After jumping from 14 to 44 wins last season, Detroit became the first team in NBA history to triple its win total in a single year. And the catalyst was Cade Cunningham, who finally delivered on his number 1 pick promise, earning his first All-Star nod while averaging 24 points and 8 assists per game on the season. Now, the challenge for the Pistons, though, will be sustaining that leap, but Jalen Duren continues to evolve as a double-double machine, and Asar Thompson might already be one of the NBA's best perimeter defenders. Jaden Ivey's health and Ron Holland's development, though, will be key to unlocking Detroit's next level, and for the time being, losing Malik Beasley hurts their spacing, but if the young core takes another step forward, 50 wins isn't out of reach. And coming in at number 10 is the Los Angeles Lakers, whose roster is a fascinating mix of youth, experience, and superstar talent. Luka Doncic is primed for a massive season after looking to be in peak condition, and with his elite playmaking and scoring ability, Luka will be the engine of this team and should put himself back in MVP conversations. And supporting him will be LeBron James, which is weird to say, but it seems to be like he's transitioning into more of a supporting role at the age of 40, and the Lakers also have Austin Reeves, who will provide some microwave scoring bursts, and Rui Hachimura, who is a reliable 3-and-D production, but the offseason additions of DeAndre Ayton, who should be a significant upgrade at center, and Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart will be the X factors for this team. But if Luka stays healthy, the Lakers are a threat in the West, though it seems the roster isn't fully championship ready at this time. The Los Angeles Clippers come in at number 9 and enter this season as one of the NBA's biggest wildcards. Last year, they battled through inconsistency but still leaned on elite defense and veteran experience to stay in the mix. And this season, health and headlines will again define their ceiling, and Kawhi Leonard begins this year healthy, and at the age of 34, he still flashes moments of pure dominance as a two-way superstar. James Harden is also now 36 years old and remains a high-level playmaker and shot creator, and is capable of carrying the offense when Kawhi rests, as we saw last season. And the additions of Bradley Beal, John Collins give Ty Lue more offensive firepower, but the real test will be balancing that with their defensive identity anchored by Ivica Zubac and newcomer Brook Lopez. Now, the Kawhi Leonard offseason scandal still looms overhead, and availability is always a concern, but if everything breaks right, this veteran squad could still make some serious noise out west. At number 8, the Golden State Warriors are balancing experience and age as they enter the upcoming season. Stephen Curry turns 38 in March, and while he can still perform at an all-NBA level, the clock is definitely ticking. Draymond Green is also back and remains an elite defender, while Jimmy Butler brings much-needed playmaking and the ability to get to the free throw line. Al Horford joins as the roster's only real addition over the summer, and his mix of shooting, quick decision-making as a passer, and ability to switch defensively should be a perfect fit in Steve Kerr's system. And last season, Golden State was very effective when Curry, Butler, and Green played together, showing they're still a formidable unit, but injuries and age-related decline are real concerns for this team, as well as Jonathan Kuminga's development and buy-in. But if health holds and the young players take a leap, the Warriors can make a deep playoff push and still contend in the West. Coming in at number 7 is the Orlando Magic, who are emerging as a true dark horse in the Eastern Conference. Last season, they finished dead last in the league in both three-pointers made and shooting percentage, yet they still flirted being around 500 despite Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner missing time with oblique injuries. In this offseason, the Magic made a bold splash by trading 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, who is one of the league's most elite shooters and instantly addresses their biggest weakness. And Banchero and Wagner form one of the most promising forward duos in the NBA, while Jalen Suggs provides dynamic playmaking once fully recovered from his knee surgery. They also have role players like Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, Mo Wagner, and Wendell Carter Jr. to round out a versatile lineup capable of spacing the floor and defending at a high level. And I think health will hold this season, and the spacing should be much improved, so the Magic could make a surprising run deep in the playoffs. Landing at number 6 is the Minnesota Timberwolves, who remain one of the most intriguing teams in the Western Conference. They're fresh off of back-to-back conference finals appearances, and the Wolves are led by Anthony Edwards, who is a top 10 player in the league whose scoring and athleticism can carry a title run. Surrounding him is a versatile supporting cast like Rudy Gobert, who's back and anchors the defense as a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate, while Julius Randle provides a bruising interior presence and Naz Reid gives high-level bench production. Depth could be a concern beyond Edwards, as Dante DiVincenzo and 38-year-old Mike Conley are there, but emerging young players like Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. will have to step up. But Minnesota's mix of elite defense and Edwards' offensive firepower makes them capable of multiple playoff series wins, though navigating the stacked Western Conference will never be easy. The New York Knicks come in at number 5 with a loaded roster ready to contend in the East once again. And they're returning core players like Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart to give them continuity in New York and one of the league's most complete top sixes in my opinion. They also added in players like Jordan Clarkson and Gershon Yabusele to provide depth, while Mike Brown's early season tweaks aim to diversify the offense beyond Brunson isolations. Last season, the Knicks won 51 games and reached the Eastern Conference Final, but predictability in crunch time offense and defensive limitations, especially when Towns and Brunson share the floor, were exposed. But if Bridges and Anunoby shoulder more playmaking responsibilities and the bench contributions click, New York could make a serious finals push, and Brown's adjustments will be critical, as anything less than a deep playoff run will be seen as underachieving for this roster. The Houston Rockets slide in at number 4 despite the huge loss of Fred VanVleet to a torn ACL, and VanVleet's impact was undeniable as Houston was a lot better with him on the floor last season, but the Rockets roster is uniquely built to absorb the blow and continue developing young talent. Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd will see expanded roles as primary creators this season, while stars Kevin Durant and Alperen Sengun should shoulder more playmaking responsibility and command defensive attention, opening space for the rising wings and guards. And last season, Houston shocked the league as the number 2 seed in the West, but fell in the first round to Golden State. But this year, with the addition of KD and him orchestrating the offense and Sengun potentially on an all-NBA team, the Rockets have the firepower to compete in the deep Western Conference, provided that Thompson and Shepherd adapt quickly. Coming in at number 3 is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are primed for a breakthrough season in the Eastern Conference. The Cavaliers return their core 4 in Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen, which give them elite talent across all positions. DeAndre Hunter should now be available for a full season as well, and the offseason additions of Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance Jr. bring versatile defense, playmaking, and veteran experience to the rotation. Last season, the Cavs stunned the league with 64 wins, but fell in the second round as injuries and Tyrese Halliburton's brilliance caught up to them. And Garland and Mitchell are all-stars, while Mobley is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and Allen anchors the interior. And with this mix, Cleveland has a legitimate shot at the NBA Finals, though the postseason will test their defensive endurance and depth. At number 2, I have the Denver Nuggets, who are a loaded Western Conference contender built around the best player in the world, in my opinion, in Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets are coming off a strong season, and Jokic continues to dominate at age 30, and he is also surrounded by Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown, who are 2 versatile gap fillers that provide defense, shooting, and secondary playmaking. In this offseason, they added critical depth with Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas, giving Denver a more reliable bench and a sturdier playoff rotation than last year. And Denver's 2 timelines approach is now gone, as it's now fully about maximizing the championship window of Nikola Jokic. And Jamal Murray is still there and shoulders major playmaking responsibility, while Johnson and Gordon should stretch the floor efficiently. And if the Nuggets stay healthy, their combination of Jokic's brilliance and a deeper, more versatile supporting cast could take them all the way. And topping my list at number 1 is once again the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are entering the upcoming season as the team to beat. Last season, they absolutely shattered expectations, setting single-season records in point differential and going 16-7 in the playoffs. And their core of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren is still fully intact, and all have signed big extensions. SGA remains the league's premier guard, blending mid-range mastery with elite foul-drawing ability, while Williams evolves as one of the game's best sidekicks, even managing through injuries, and Holmgren anchors an elite defense and provides a versatile stretch 5 option. And the supporting cast includes Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Cason Wallace once again, which ensures the rotation is deep and defensive-minded, with Nikola Topic ready to inject energy once healthy, and with nearly every key player returning and growing this offseason, the Thunder are primed not to just compete, but to dominate the NBA once again. But I also wanted to quickly go over my preseason predictions for the NBA season awards, and for MVP, I have Luka Doncic, who enters the upcoming season lean, locked in, and ready to dominate. With LeBron James sidelined early, Luka will take full control and average potential 34-point triple-doubles, and his combination of elite creation, scoring, and playmaking could carry the Lakers to a top 3 or top 5 Western Conference finish, making him the clear MVP candidate if he stays healthy, in my opinion. For Rookie of the Year, I have Cooper Flagg from the Dallas Mavericks, and Flagg is already starting at point guard, it seems, and displaying scoring from all 3 levels with 3-pointers, step backs, and lobs in the preseason. And at just 18 years old, he faces rookie growing pains as always, but the Mavericks' talent ensures high usage opportunities, and historically, rookies with over a 20% usage rate dominate the Rookie of the Year conversations, and Flagg is on pace to exceed that comfortably. And next, for Defensive Player of the Year, I have to pick Victor Wembanyama. Wembanyama is a defensive phenom, averaging 3.8 blocks last season, and he's capable of covering immense ground and altering shots with ease with his huge frame, and he's surrounded by young teammates, but Wemby's impact is unparalleled, making him the preseason favorite for this award. And if the Spurs can rank defensively high, Wembanyama is poised to make Defensive Player of the Year an early career certainty, as he should have won it last season before injury. For Most Improved Player, I have Amen Thompson from the Houston Rockets, and Thompson's athleticism and playmaking will explode this season, and we saw it late last season as well. And with Fred VanVleet sideline, he gains more control over the offense alongside KD and Alperen Sengun, and defenses might be focused elsewhere and create room for Thompson to showcase development from last year, positioning him as the frontrunner for Most Improved Player for me. And for the Sixth Man of the Year, I have Naz Reid, and Naz Reid's versatility, scoring, and stretching the floor capability make him a perfect sixth-man candidate, and Minnesota's rotation keeps him off the starting 5 alongside Gobert, yet he'll play heavy minutes, unlocking lineups and filling multiple roles for the Timberwolves. And Reid's new $125 million deal and expanded responsibility sets him up for a second Sixth Man of the Year trophy. And lastly, for Coach of the Year, I have Jamal Mosley from the Orlando Magic, and Mosley faces high stakes with the Magic this season, as Orlando's Desmond Bane acquisition gives Mosley a clear path to offensive success, and if the team exceeds expectations and contends in the East like I think they will, Mosley's strategic ingenuity and player development could earn him Coach of the Year honors and cementing a transformative season for the Orlando Magic this year. Well, that wraps it up for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on my preseason NBA rankings and award predictions. Was there a team that I ranked way too high or way too low? Also, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and make sure to stay tuned for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.